Hey there everyone, welcome back to Office Hours here on Work It Daily's YouTube channel. It's Wednesday and that means that I am here to spend the next 30 minutes with you answering any and all career questions that I can answer in real time. So much fun. Big shout out to everyone that's already on here today. Quick reminder, if you want to participate and you have a question, what you have to do is put the word question in all caps, then followed by your question. And please remember that we get a lot of questions and the speed of the chat goes really fast, so I can't always answer everyone, and I do my best to answer them in order, but sometimes that doesn't happen either. So if you really want to get your questions answered by a trained expert, private messaging, then you need to join us, and I'll talk more about that later because that's what Work It Daily does. If you like what happens here in Office Hours, can you imagine what it would be like if you had your own personal career coach in your back pocket whenever you needed her or him? That's what you can do with Work It Daily. So, but I want to get started today because we only have 30 minutes, and you know I like to answer all your questions. And of course, if you're interested, we'd love to hear where you're hailing from. So if you want to post the chat in there, I always love to see. I think at last count, we knew that we were reaching 16 countries in counting in our thousands of customers, which makes me so excited to say that we're a global company. So give me a shout out and tell me where you are from. All right, and I see there are a couple of people. So let's say hi to Kimberly, Holly, Sylvia, Soccer Rock in New York, HGM, Mir, Ali. Welcome everyone. So, hey David, don't want to forget you either. Kimberly's got a question. What are the benefits of LinkedIn Premium? So I'm definitely the wrong person to ask that. I think I personally feel that most people don't need LinkedIn Premium. What LinkedIn Premium does is let you, instead of sending 3 in-mails per month for free, you can send 10 in-mails per month. And that they give you access to LinkedIn Learning, which is their platform where a bunch of experts have recorded videos for you. So you get that as well. But what some people mistakenly assume is that if they pay for LinkedIn Premium, it's going to give you all sorts of extra access to recruiters and that you're going to show up in the top of recruiter results. And that's not true. That would be illegal. That would be gaming the system. They do make your profile a little bit bigger in the search results, but they do not stack rank you. You don't get to the top of the list. So I have not found that there's a lot of use for it, especially because there's studies that show that in-mails don't get responded to any better than customized connection requests. So in my opinion, it's much better for you to post a connection request, which is free for you to do. And if the person connects with you, then they looked at your profile, they're interested in you, and then you can take it from there, because once you're connected, you can have as many email conversations as you want. So are there exceptions to the rule? There are. I think there are some people that want the LinkedIn Learning. There's a lot of industry training, which isn't something we offer, that could be interesting there. But all in all, as far as it being something that shortens your job search or cuts it down, that's not something I could say that it does, because I haven't in my experience seen that do that for anyone. So there's my honest review on that. Like I said, I find it's not for most people, but there are exceptions to the rule. All right. I say, personally, going back to that, get as much value as you can out of LinkedIn, the freemium version. I can't tell you how many people don't even know how to use that well. And that's one of the things that we do teach you inside Work It Daily. Our LinkedIn plan guide teaches you how to optimize every aspect of your profile, how to reach out to recruiters, how to build your connections, how to increase the number of people that see your profile. This is all stuff you can do for free, folks, but you need to know how to do it. And so if you're interested in that, then you should join our program, because our clients go through the LinkedIn plan and they work and they get their LinkedIn profile reviewed by our team of experts. And our experts say, yes, you did it right, or no, you need to fix all these things. And then we get it to a good place where you're getting better results. So that would be my advice to you regarding LinkedIn. All right, good question. Let's see, I've got a question from Wendy. She says, is it appropriate to include glowing performance review comments and artifacts during a face-to-face interview? No, it is not appropriate, Wendy. I'm glad you asked that question. It actually makes recruiters and hiring managers cringe. It really does. You're in an interview to answer questions and to validate your experience, to showcase your personality, and to prove to them you have the aptitude, the ability to adapt to their environment. You're not there to humble brag, which is essentially what you're doing when you do that. So I encourage you not to do it. It's like nails on a chalkboard to a recruiter. It just feels really salesy. If they want to know those things, they'll find them. They'll find them on your LinkedIn profile, that sort of thing, or they'll request them, or they'll ask for your references and they'll call the references. But recommendation letters are pretty much out these days. Recruiters don't trust them because they think most of the time they've been made up. that you made them and slapped your boss's name on them. Now I know you all wouldn't do that, but literally we've seen enough people in the recruiting business to know people have made them up. And they just, again, they sound really self-important, really salesy. They're just not good. So no, don't do that. And I'm glad you brought it up, because a lot of people do, thinking, oh, I should market myself. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make, they come inside the Work It Daily program and they start our job search plan. And the job search plan is amazing in the sense that it's a check and balance. You go step by step through the entire process of what a good proactive job search looks like today, the kind of job search that recruiters will respond to. And time and again, somebody in the comments will say, oh my gosh, JT, I watched that video and I cringed because I realized all this time I've been doing it wrong. All this time I've been saying the wrong thing and I thought I sounded so amazing. And what they're doing is they think they have to market themselves like, look at me, I'm great, I can do this, because they tell you should be confident in interviews. Well, there's confident and then there's cocky. And none of you are cocky. But I can't believe how many people adopt this because they don't know any better. They just assume this is what they're supposed to do. And if any of you have ever had a salesperson that has been overbearing and told you how great they are and how you can't do without them, that's what you sound like. And you don't want to sound like that in a job interview. And that's actually why we built the job search plan, because I saw so many people going in and bombing. I mean, we have an entire video series around interview prep, just so that people do it right, because there's that many mistakes being made. So that's just one example that you gave, and I'm so glad you asked, Wendy, because hopefully we just saved a lot of people from going on an interview and humble bragging. But there's lots of other things you need to know about presenting yourself, presenting your brand in job search. And that's why you should join us at Work It Daily, because we'll teach you how to do it. Okay, Soccer Rock says, how does a Gen Xer who has done mostly temporary work for a number of years best promote himself for a permanent full-time job to a recruiter? Okay, so I'm a fellow Gen Xer, so way to go, Soccer Rock. So the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is think about your resume in terms of skills that you've developed. So as a contractor, you have become a specialist of some type. And if you were inside our program, we would have you use this technical resume that has you really showcase your specialties. You're going to have to keep your resume, your work history in chronological order. And yes, they're going to see that these were contract gigs, but there is a way for you to change what we call inside Work It Daily the top fold of your resume to showcase your collective experience. And so that's one piece of it. The second piece of it is in the way that you write your disruptive cover letter. And that's another thing that we teach you inside Work It Daily. You want to tell the story of how you feel connected to them as an organization, and you have to do that in such a way that gets them to say, oh my gosh, Soccer Rock is so interesting and really gets us. We can overlook the contract work stuff. We've got to talk to him. He gets us. It's not how great I am, it's here's how I feel connected to you. And that involves you being able to tell a story from your professional past where the aha moment really came to you, and you convey that to them. And so there's a technique that you use that we teach you to do that. Between the disruptive cover letter and the properly laid out top fold of your resume, now you're going to send a message that emphasizes and showcases your specialty, your area of expertise, the problems you solve, the pain you alleviate, and de-emphasize the fact that you did that in a contract format, okay? All right, and then I'm just gonna say one other thing, but it's a separate conversation. You would then move into our interview prep, because one of the things that you're gonna have to overcome is, why would you wanna be a full-time employee? You've been a successful contractor for so many years. And the answer obviously can't be because I want a stable job with benefits. It cannot be that. But I'm not going to tell you what the answer is, because to find that out, you got to join us. Really, it's a lot more to that in our interview prep. So that is something you need to consider as well. Okay. Question from Felicia. Is it incorrect to add all your degrees on your resume? The answer to that is it depends, Felicia. And this is why I love what we do. So our coaches, you go through a resume tutorial and you will put all that info in there. And you would probably, Felicia, put all your degrees on there. But then we would look at it and say, all right, Felicia, now let's talk about what jobs that you're looking for and how you want to present yourself. Because if some of those degrees are irrelevant, they're not going to go in the top fold of the resume where you want to draw the eye in. They're going to go in your additional experience section and be de-emphasized. And you may do that on a case-by-case basis. But it truly depends. What I never will advise anyone to do is hide degrees. Leaving them off the resume is a no-no, because let's say you leave it off the resume, you go to an interview, you get really into the interview and they say, oh, but we'd really want you to have this experience. And oh my gosh, the resume or the degree that you put off, maybe your MBA or some kind of master's, you left it off, and now what are you going to say? Oh, I have a master's. Nobody's going to believe you because it's not on the resume. So it has to go somewhere. But it is okay to divide them up depending on their relevance, and that would be something that we would work through. Your career coach inside Work It Daily would work with you one-on-one on that. Okay, Seth says, what advice do you have when recruiters do not respond to your message on LinkedIn when you explain on how you are a fan of the company and what they look for in an ideal candidate? So if you don't get a recruiter to respond to you, Seth, go find someone else. You should be looking for people who work at the organization that are at a peer level. You could also look for people that are brand new to the organization, maybe just got hired there. You can look for people that are in a totally different department. What you want to do is repeat the process and say, hey, I see you work at XYZ. I'd love to connect with you. And then when they accept the connection request, you can follow up and say, I'd love to learn more about how you landed your job there. Can you tell me your story? And that's it. You're going to have them tell you their story about how they fell in love with their job, how they landed their job at that company. And then you can say, that is amazing information. I love the company for these reasons. I'm looking for any tips to help stand out in the selection process. If you have any additional tips now that you've been hired and you're working there successfully, I'd be grateful. So do you see how that works? You ask them about themselves first. How'd you land your job? What do you think it takes to get hired there? Simple question. The ones that respond to you, those are the ones that you can say, hey, here's why I love the company. Do you have any more tips so I can set myself apart? You're not asking for a referral, you're asking to understand the process. But what that allows you to do is start to build a relationship with these folks. So the next time a job posting comes available, you can circle back to them, and this isn't the first time you're talking to them. Now you can say, hey, Bill, remember when you told me this is the tip for getting in? Well, guess what? Your company just posted this job. I think I'm a fit for it. Any chance you'd be willing to introduce me to the recruiter so I could share my story about why I feel so connected to the brand? See how much easier that is? So a lot of people on the call today, what you don't understand about job search is that the majority of the time, when you see a job posting at a company and you have no relationship there, you've done no legwork to get to know anybody there, there is a very slim chance you'll even be considered for the job. Because over 80% of jobs are gotten via referral. What's happening most of the time is that they post a job and people who have already been tracking this company as a company on their bucket list, which is what we teach you inside Work It Daily. We make all of our members get a bucket list of about 20 companies, start to track them, start to network with people there so that when a job drops, you now have established relationships there that you can tap into and seek their counsel on how to stand out and get considered for an interview. This is why so many people say to me, JT, I applied to 100 jobs and nobody responded to me. Yes, because you have no relationship there. They're not going to respond to you. Less than 3% of people who apply online ever hear back. But people who go around the system, who see the job posting, apply, but then also reach out to an established network, they're the ones that can get themselves pulled out of the pile and looked at by the hiring manager. And that is a key distinction. So I hope that helps. And if you don't understand that process, it's something that you really should be studying if you're not a member already inside Work It Daily with us, because we walk you through that strategy of selecting a bucket list, reaching out to recruiters, reaching out to additional individuals, and how to nurture those relationships so that when the job posting comes, you know what to do. Okay? All right. Joanne says, as an executive, when is it appropriate to say award-winning or patent holder within the summary of a resume? So you're never going to say award-winning. You are just going to list it in the additional experience section under awards, and then you would list them all there. Same thing with patents. So you would put awards, just awards, list them, patents, list them. That's all you do. Folks, I cannot stress it enough. This is something, I take out my red pen, so does all of my teammates here that have been trained by me. We go through your resume and we look for any of the stuff that screams salesy, and you take it out. Resumes are fact-based. Recruiters are so sick at looking at resumes. There's a reason they're all moving to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is forcing you to follow a certain format, right? Everybody's format's the same. When you are salesy, when you say stuff like that, and I know you didn't mean it that way, Joanne, and that's why I'm so glad you asked it. This is what I mean about people not knowing. But they do it because they think, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to sell myself, right? There's a difference between hardcore selling, which is ew, and strategic marketing, which is yeah. And that is the fundamental difference that you'll learn inside our job search plan. You'll stop that ew selling and you'll learn how to do that strategic marketing of your brand. So, great question. All right, let's see. Stravinia says, What do you think when a recruiter contacts you directly via text message? I was surprised initially, but we've had an interview arranged like that. Is becoming common. So common, Stravinia. So common. So a lot of you are going to start noticing there's amazing technology that's being built in the HR space. And companies that really want to get to you and learn more about you are going to start installing chatbots and opt-ins on their careers pages that allow you to give them your phone number or your email address. And this is going to enable them to start these chats with you once they look through your materials. You're going to see this become very, very common practice. Recruiting is becoming more real time. Recruiters realize that they need to get you while you're thinking about it. And so that doesn't surprise me at all. You should not be freaked out about it. It is normal, especially since anybody under the age of, say, 33, all the millennials and certainly the generation after that, they've been raised on texting. They don't email, they text. So it's completely normal to them. Might feel a little foreign to you, but it's completely normal to them, and it will be commonplace within the next few years in recruiting. Okay. Question from Whit. Whit says, best strategy to find jobs in your mid-50s when you're not sure what you want to be when you grow up. Hey, well, first of all, Whit, I'm with you because I turned 50. I'll be 51 in May. And I haven't grown up yet, and I love that you said that because you've got another 50 years ahead of you. That's the way we all need to be looking at it, folks. What you need to be thinking about is, where can I go find work where I want to work, where I don't ever want to quit? That's the goal. So the solution, though, is to not say, I'm going to follow my passion. And there's been a lot more around this lately, and I'm excited to see people talking the truth, which is, when we say follow your passion, people immediately go to, oh, I love to bake, I love to cook, I love to travel, I love to, do art. So how do I turn that into a business? Now, some of you will. Some of you will create hobby careers that'll become full-time careers, or some of you will get into the industries and do whatever it takes. But for a good portion of you, the jobs available in those that relate to your passions aren't going to be a fit for you for the other aspects of your life. And so you need another type of job. My advice to everyone is to figure out the problems you like to solve. Because let's think about it. Businesses are in the business of solving problems. That's what they get paid to do. They create services and products that solve problems and alleviate pains and create joy. So you have to think about the problems you're interested in solving. What are the things that matter to you? And then you have to think about, what are my skill sets that I like to leverage that could assist in solving those problems? Now, if you haven't taken it already, we have a cool free quiz that you can take. It's called the Career Decoder, and it will tell you about your workplace personas. And I just did a YouTube video on it, so you can all check that out as well. And it explains to you how figuring out how you like to do work on the job, the 2 or 3 ways that are most comfortable to you, that they make you feel the most valuable, that's important, because that's where we get what's called our internal motivation to work. And if we're internally motivated to work, that's how we create satisfaction. And if we're satisfied, we're happy. See the connection? See the circle? So my advice to you is to get off the job treadmill, stop just looking for any old job, step back for a minute and say, what problems do I care about solving? What companies are in the business of solving those problems? And what skills of mine, what personas, workplace personas, do I want to leverage? Then you go out and start to have the conversations with people who work there about what the jobs are like and what kind of skills they need, and you match yourself to them. That is how you get it done, folks. People ask me all the time, JT, how do I find greater career satisfaction? How do I find greater career happiness? Well, it starts by getting off autopilot, getting off default mode. I mean, how many of you went through school, grade school, high school, college, and were specifically taught how to build a meaningful and rewarding career just for you? I'm going to venture a guess 0, because that's not what they teach us in school. That is why I, myself, and the team here built Work It Daily. Because you need a school that's going to teach you how to do what I just described to you in your 50s, in your 30s, in your 20s. No one taught us how to do this. Now, good news is, once you learn how to do it, it's not rocket science, it's not brain surgery, or as we joke here, rocket surgery. It is a very logical process. It's a skill you develop in yourself to say, oh, this is what I like. This is the work I want to do. This is how I feel valuable to an employer. This is how I feel satisfied. Okay, let me go find the jobs. Let me go find the organizations. And all of a sudden, you go from jumping job to job to job and hating what you do to literally choosing your next employer. And I know I've got some members on here who can vouch for that, because every day somebody inside our program says, I just got a job with my dream company on my bucket list. The bucket list is the list that you create, that you say, hey, these are the companies that match what I'm looking for. I'm going to match myself to them. Otherwise, can we all see what a broken process this has been? You get on job boards, you read job descriptions, and you try to imagine yourself fitting in to that job. You're like forcing a square peg into a round hole. And this is why people go from job to job to job and feel like a failure and feel dissatisfied, because they don't have the ownership process that we teach you to step by step choose where you want to work and what you want to do, because no one's ever taught you how to do that, so you don't know. So I hope that makes sense. You got me all riled up about that, but I'm just so passionate about it, because once you show people how to do that and they follow our job search plan step by step and they land their dream job, I literally, somebody this week said, I'm canceling your program, but I'm canceling because it's amazing and I just got my dream job. You know what? Then fine, folks. If I'm going to lose a customer because they just got their dream job, that's okay by me. I'll take it. Oh, well. And hopefully they'll tell a friend or two. You know what I mean? But I'm just telling you all, you're all out there job searching the wrong way. And whether it's working with us or working with someone else, get the help you need. Learn the right way to do this so that you aren't, salesy and you aren't making these mistakes, because we all know, you don't get a lot of shots at interviewing. You got to get a lot of these things right. There is some pressure involved. And so, give yourself the gift of the education you need to do this right and build your skills. Because you've all built your skills before. You all know when you're really good at something, it feels awesome, doesn't it? Yeah, it feels amazing. And I'm here to tell you, you could do that with job search. So, enough on that. Okay. Carl says, my wife has an interview for a similar position she interviewed with the same company about a year ago. She is now 16 weeks pregnant. How can she address her new state? So 4 months pregnant, maybe showing, maybe not showing. She is not required to disclose that. It is none of their business. What she does have to disclose is if there's any aspect of the job that she's not going to be able to do physically, then she would have to reveal that, because then that would be that she was concealing or hiding something. But all that being said, here's my advice, and you don't have to take it, but as someone who's been in HR and recruiting for many years, go through the process. She doesn't need to reveal in the first interview that she's pregnant. Go through the process. This is a relationship building. You want to interview, do I still like this place? Do I like the job? Do I like the people I'll be working with? Do they like me? And when you get all the way to the offer stage, they've extended her the offer, right? That's when she can make the decision as to whether or not she feels she should tell them so that they won't be surprised. Okay? And my guess is if she gets that far and she's in love with the organization and they're in love with her and they've offered her the job, she's going to be able to say, I need to call you. I need to tell you something, because I cannot accept this job without you hearing it from me. I want you to know that I'm pregnant, but that I didn't reveal that because I wasn't sure where I was in the process. I wasn't sure you were even going to pick me. And candidly, I didn't want that to, affect how you thought of me, because I am so excited about this position and I am really, really can't wait to start this job. But I want you to know that I am pregnant. Now, if you think about it, if they rescind the offer, what happens? Then we know that they rescinded it based on it, and then that would be discrimination. So they can't. But it is way better than for her to be honest there before accepting the offer than to tell them after the fact, which feels deceitful. Does that make sense? That's the thing to do. That being said, they may know, they may recognize, but that would be my advice. Okay, let's see. Rob says, on your quiz, I scored 20% on 4 levels: educator, warrior, visionary, mentor. Though I'm glad it seems I'm well-rounded, but how do I use that? Yeah, so this is this career decoder quiz that literally at this point, at last check, we had over 60,000 people who had taken it. And so it doesn't add up to 100%. Sometimes people get confused about that. You're just looking for where you have 20% or higher. In this case, he has 4 that are 20%. So it does mean you're well-rounded. Notice you still have 4 out of 8. So there are 4 styles that you're not interested in doing. What I see when I see educator, warrior, visionary, mentor is you tend to be, you're somebody that I would see being in, for example, an entrepreneurship role, a leadership role, because you, as a visionary, can articulate. You can help people see something they can't see in themselves. You can develop other people. You love talking and explaining how something works to people. And the warrior part of you is the loyal person who's, hey, I'm behind you, we're in this together, teammates. So that type of person really lends themselves well to being entrepreneurs, starting their own companies, being in those elevated positions where they have to inspire and motivate and educate and develop a lot of people and help them see something they can't see in themselves, or help them see a process or a vision for the business that they can't necessarily see. So that's what comes to mind when I see that for you. And you can tell me whether or not you see that as accurate. Lori says, interviewing and a planned vacation. At what stage of the process do you say, I already have a scheduled vacation, and how do you present that, whether it be paid or unpaid? Yeah, so super question. What you want to do, again, earlier question about interviewing, get through the interviewing process. There's no need to bring that up until you've been given an offer, right? Let's get to the offer stage. When you get to the offer stage, that's when you get on the phone along with all the other questions you have and say, I need you to know that I do have a vacation. It's been planned well in advance. It's for these dates. I want to make sure that it's okay that I can still take that vacation. And the policy, do I need to take it unpaid? You know, how would that work? And so that way you can talk about it there at the final stage. And most of the time they're going to go, oh yeah, take your vacation. Well, you know, we probably won't pay you, or you can take whatever vacation time you have. But it is important to tell them before you accept the job. These are the things that it just sets the wrong tone. But you don't need to say it too early on, folks. Wait until you get the job offer. That's when you can negotiate those things. Let's see. Erica says, how can someone begin a new career with no transferable skills? So Erica, I find that hard to believe that you have no transferable skills. I mean, I have people come into the program all the time feeling pretty beat down, and they'll go through the process. In fact, in the job search plan, people sometimes mistakenly, and I say mistakenly, jump to the middle where we work on their resume and their LinkedIn profile and their cover letter. There's a whole bunch of courses and tutorials prior to that. And those courses and tutorials are so vital. They're videos that you watch that help you understand who you are as a person, what your strengths are, what are your transferable skills, how do you pull them out of you, what are your preferences. It's called the Professional Strengths Assessment, and it's all in there. And you go through 7 different tests, essentially, to figure out who you are as a professional. And that's really, really key, because I don't buy it. I never will. Everybody has a skill that they can market. Everybody. Maybe it's not from a traditional job. Maybe it's something you did otherwise, but everybody has a skill they can market. It's important you figure out what skills you love to use the most, right? It goes back to that value creation. Once you've been all those steps in our job search plan, then you figure out, okay, this is what I put on a resume, LinkedIn profile, this is what I write in the cover letter, this is how I explain myself in the interview process. You can't do any of that. That's the strategic marketing part. You can't do any of that until you've developed the strategy, until you've developed the info that you need to market yourself. So I would say I don't buy it. You can do it, but you're definitely going to need some work to help draw it out of you. And that's what we can help you do. All right. Let's see. Jamie says, is a one-page resume better than 2? No, it's not. And it's funny. I wrote a book. It's called Careerism, and in it, I really touted the one-page resume. But this book was, written quite a few years ago. The answer now is your resume should be as long as it needs to be, as long as there's white space. So what I don't want you to do is, in an effort to get it on one page, use 9-point font, 0.4 margins, and have so much text on the page that I literally can't read it. It won't get read. In fact, I just read a study, it came across my desk this week, that says that 2-page resumes are just as likely, if not more so, to be read when they have the appropriate white space. So what I mean is that the font is the right size, the spacing is correct, there's not too many words. If you're going to 2 pages, it's because you're not trying to cram it all on one. And you need to follow a special process to be able to do that. So definitely 2 pages is okay. I get a little questionable anytime somebody comes to me and they've got something like after 4 pages, that's too much. It's really too much. I've had some executives come to me and it's 5 pages long, and no. I think the longest anyone ever needs to go is 3 pages in my experience. Again, with plenty of white space. Your goal in a resume is to tease the recruiter into wanting to talk to you. You are not going to put everything and the kitchen sink on your resume, because then if they look at it, they go, well, this is everything they've ever done and I don't see what I need, so I'm going to toss them. The goal is to learn how to put just the right amount of information to make them go, well, it looks like she has the skills and the experience, but there's not enough here, so I need to call her. So just so you all know, if a recruiter ever says to you, well, I needed to call you because there wasn't enough info on your resume, Your resume is right. You could say, oh, okay. And even if they say to you, you know, you really should fix this resume. You should add more information. No, you shouldn't. It got you the phone call. It did its job. So don't always listen to what recruiters want, because we're trying to reel them in. And you have to do that by using a resume format that provides the perfect balance of information, but not enough that it's too much. Okay? All right, great question. Let's see. Jumping down to Celestine. I hope I'm saying that right. After submitting an application for a new role, would it be inappropriate to inquire with the assigned in-house recruiter via email on whether my background is competitive for that role? No, Celestine, not at all. But the rule of thumb is to wait 1 business week. So whenever you applied, add 5 business days to that. And then it's okay to reach out and say, I just wanted to follow up on my application and see if there's anything else I can do to further my candidacy. I wouldn't say, am I a fit or not? Because then they feel bad if they say no. What you want to say is, I want to be proactive and see if there's anything else I can do to further my candidacy. So 5 days, 5 business days, right? Because we take the weekends off. And also one other thing I always say, never on a Monday. So if the 5th day falls on a Monday, wait till Tuesday. And that's because it doesn't matter how cheery the recruiter, everybody's a little stressed out on Mondays getting back into the groove after their glorious weekend. And so when you're in their inbox asking about the status, it feels annoying to them. So you want to wait till Tuesday then in order to ask, okay? All right. Okay, so folks, I can't believe 30 minutes is done and gone. Listen, come back next week. I would love to see you there. But if you would really like to get the help you need, why aren't you joining us? So you know, every week we give you a special code, good for today, that will let you join us. And that way you can get your questions answered. If anything, I've showed to all of you today that job search is a strategic process, and none of us have been taught how to do it. School did not teach you this. So where are you learning it? And what are the possible mistakes that you're making unknowingly? I hate to see people failing in job search and feeling sad and depressed and thinking it's them, that there's something wrong with them and that they're a failure, when in reality, they just don't have the right tools. They don't have the right info. That's all it is, folks. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. But you do need the right information and the right resources. And no one's just going to give that to you. You need to commit. You need to become part of a program, because you need not just the courses, you need the coaching, and you need the community. Probably my favorite part of what we do is create a private place where you can share what's going on with other like-minded peers, and it's secure, and that's going to motivate you. You're going to go in and you're going to hear other people's progress. They're going to share their stories, and you're going to constantly learn and grow and get results. Courses, coaching, community. You need it, right? We went to school. You don't ever stop learning. So if you're not getting the results in your job search, it's time to go back to school, job search school, okay? And whether you come to Work It Daily, we would love to have you. We really want you to join us, or you go someplace else. Just do yourself the favor, because you're going to learn really fast. It's not you. It is not you. You are not broken. Okay? All right. You guys are great. Thank you so much for spending a half hour with me today. I wish you all the best, and we'll see you back here really soon, okay? All right, team. Take care. Bye-bye.